Conduct of business, item 10. We're going to look at adopting a resolution authorizing the city manager to do two things. First, execute a funding agreement with the San Mateo County Transportation Authority to accept Measure A pedestrian and bicycle project funding in the amount of $300,000, and to appropriate $30,000 from Measure A local streets and transportation program funding for city's contribution.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor, members of the City Council, William Lee, Management Analyst with Public Services. The city, with council authorization back in January, applied for Measure A pedestrian and bicycle program grant funding through the San Mateo County Transportation Authority. The TA approved funding for the El Camino Real Angus Avenue intersection improvements project in June and recently distributed funding agreements to all the awardees. The San Bruno specific agreement will commit the Transportation Authority to fund the project up to $300,000 with a local city match of 10% or $30,000, which was also authorized during the January meeting. City staff recommends that the $30,000 match comes from unallocated Measure A local streets and transportation funds. The unallocated amount currently sits at $1.1 million. The funding will enable the city to complete final design and construction for the intersection to allow for improved safety and accessibility. Improvements will include a second high visibility crosswalk, ADA compliant ramps, corner bulb outs, updated traffic signals, and median refuge improvements to ensure that if pedestrians crossing the street do not make it in time when the light turns red, that they have a safe place in the middle to stand. As we're all aware, the El Camino Angus intersection is one of the busiest intersections in the city for both pedestrians and motorists. It is the intersection that's right in front of the City Civic Center, which includes Fire Station 51, City Hall, and the Public Library. During the school year, pedestrian foot traffic also increases sharply because Decima Allen Elementary School is also located right behind the Civic Center. And motorists, of course, use the road to get to various locations in town because of its close proximity to downtown San Mateo Avenue, the Tanforan Shopping Center, various public transit connections and stops, and also major freeway entrances. The intersection itself has also been identified for improvement in many of the city's planning documents, including the Transit Corridors Plan, the San Bruno General Plan, the Community-Based Transportation Plan, and the Complete Streets Policy. It is also part of the Grand Boulevard Initiative and the Complete Streets case study. And during the city's presentation back in September 2013 for the case study, the city agreed with the council recommendation to pursue various funding opportunities for the Grand Boulevard Initiative, even if maximum funding would only allow for certain sections to be funded at a time. Based on the agreement terms, the design work is to be completed within 2 years of when the agreement is fully executed, and construction within 3 years of the point when design has been completed. All funds related to the scope of work that's pertinent to the agreement must be expended by 2019. Out of the total $330,000 allocated to the project, $60,000 is allocated to design, with $50,000 coming from the Transportation Authority and $10,000 from the local match. And in terms of construction, $270,000 is allocated. $250,000 of that is from the Transportation Authority, and $20,000 will be the local city match. The project will be incorporated into the Transit Corridor Pedestrian Connection Improvement CIP project for the 2014-19 budget that's upcoming. The Transit Corridor CIP project was chosen because the improvements, goals, and overall vision of that CIP project are in line with what the intersection project aims to accomplish, which is to improve the safety, accessibility, and transportation network connections within the San Bruno Transit Corridor. That concludes my presentation. Thank you very much for your attention. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Good. Any questions? Ken?
No questions. It was a great project. I'm proud to say that I do sit on the CCAG Bicycle and Pedestrian Committee board, and former employees Clara Fabre and Tina Sang worked on this project, and I distinctly remember Tina's presentation, and I have to say that the entire committee was very impressed with the project, and we're competing with, you know, it's a few $1,000,000, but when every project is a few $100,000, it's, you know, it's difficult to make an impression, and this project is obviously speaks for itself, and was recognized by the committee, and then eventually by CCAG to approve it, and so I'm very proud that we were able to get this good chunk of money to, you know, make that improvement.
Thank you.
Great. Any other questions or action by the council? Can we do this with one adoption? Okay.
With that, I'll introduce the resolution.
Councilmember Ibera.
Aye.
Councilmember Salazar.
Aye.
Councilmember O'Connell.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Medina.
Aye.
Mayor Ruane.
Aye.